This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 495 for the week of Monday, November 13th, 2017. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
How's it going, Ed?
Oh, it's going great. Welcome back, Zach.
Thank you. It's good to be back on the podcast.
Clear Norwegian air.
Yeah, thank you. I guess it is. It's either you're insulting what I normally sound like or complimenting what I sound like today. And I want to give a big thanks to you and Steve for holding down the fort last week. It was a really entertaining episode. And as I posted on Twitter, my idea for a ride on the One Piece amusement park would be It's a Small World as Dressrosa, where you get stuck in it for 3 years and can't leave.
There was a guy who won like $1 million from Disney because he got stuck in there for 30 minutes with the Musicon.
I mean,
he was in a wheelchair.
That.
He was stuck on the ride.
That's what it was.
Man.
Except Sabo shows up in the middle.
Although I have to question why exactly it was my joke that drove Steve into hysterics over the Bartholomew Kumas soaring over the ground.
I think it was the reference to Patrick Warburton that drove him crazy. He started thinking about Patrick Warburton.
Steve has like trigger words. You get him there. So you may hear some familiar voices. Included are Stephen Paul, the One Piece translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, our very special guest. Welcome back.
Thank you for remembering. It's good to be here and talking to you again.
Yeah, it's good to be talking to you again as well. We also have our editor-in-chief, Kelly. How's it going, Kelly?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Welcome
How's it
back.
going? Thank you. How has the United States been for you?
It's been pretty much the same, but not too bad.
Cool. We have our anime recap host. He is also a columnist on Anime News Network. We have Sam Leach with us. How's it going, Sam?
I am more tired than I expected to be, so let's see how this goes.
Sam, if there's one thing I have learned from doing this podcast over the last almost 9 years now, it's the more tired you are, the funnier it gets. And last but certainly not least, we have our editorial writer, our frequent contributor, Jill is here with us. How's it going, Jill?
Pretty good. I'm also tired. I had 4 hours of sleep, did a clopening shift that was 9 hours long. We'll see how this goes.
So this is going to be a really fun podcast, is what I'm hearing.
This is the tired cast.
This is the tired cast. We're going to put everyone to sleep today.
It's dark out. Daylight savings time happened to us.
Yep.
No, it's no longer daylight savings time. Is the problem.
Daylight
They took it away.
Daylight
It happened
losing
to us
time.
and then they took it away.
Daylight closing. So on today's episode, we
Let us feel sweet relief.
We have our manga
They
recap.
took it away.
Sam, try to talk about the manga recap. You got to get over your seasonal affective disorder. We have chapter 885, I'm Brûlé. There's many exclamation points after that. And we also have our anime recap. What do we have this week, Sam?
That would be episode 813, A Fateful Confrontation, Luffy and Big Mom.
And before we also have Piece Together, and of course all that. Before we get started, Anime NYC is this weekend. We have a panel Friday at 8 p.m. in panel room 3. Kelly and I will be there. Kelly, do you have anything to add to what we'll be doing?
We're going to present 20 years of One Piece, but it'll be, if you were at Otakon, it's going to be a different presentation, at least parts of it. And I have a bag of prizes, so please definitely join. I've got some good stuff to give out.
Kelly is like the giver of amazing prizes, so definitely worth coming. So even if you've been to the one at Otakon, I think this one will definitely be worthwhile. At the very least, you have a chance to win something cool, and hopefully you will also enjoy hearing and seeing us as well. We'll be around after. We're not going to have a meetup like we usually do for New York Comic Con or anything, but we'll hang around after the panel. Please say hello, talk, do whatever you want. I don't know how much I'm going to be at that convention in general, but yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's the hometown convention. I also want to mention there's been a lot of news while I was away, especially over the last few days. And Kelly, I think we should start with news pertaining to an interview the author had, Eiichiro Oda. Actually, you should probably say when this interview happened first, and then we could talk about the details.
So this interview took place about, and correct me if I'm wrong, everyone, about 6 or 7 months ago, but it was recently just released in the One Piece Super Kabuki companion book that just came out. So it caused quite a bit of stir because Oda was basically talking about timelines for when the Wano arc was going to take place. And the first bit of news was that we had about 1 to 2 years for that, but that's since been corrected. So I think we're looking at about a year and a half now.
No, I think if you use those same numbers, it would be 6 months or 7 months to a year and a half ish.
Okay.
But I want to say this, and we say this on the podcast a lot, but it really bears repeating. Take Oda's, predictions of time with a huge grain of salt, like the biggest grain of salt you could find. It's bigger than that. I mean,
you need to go down to the stable and get a salt lick. And
it's a salt lick for sure.
You need more salt.
Poor Greg. Remember like a few months ago when he was like, oh, we got to be in Wano by October because there's that Kyoto event and, he's going to do some Wano related stuff for that. So it's got to tie in. And I was just like, that doesn't seem right. And it was definitely not right.
Yeah.
I think Roger was banging that drum a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were all kind of hoping, but we also, I think, all have that side of our brain that's like, that can't happen. We all know Oda. Let's remind our listeners again, how many times Oda has said we're halfway through the series. I mean, first off, when the series started,
10 years ago.
When the series started, he said One Piece would last 5 years. We are now at 20 plus. Then I think Skypiea was the first time he said we were halfway through. And he said it at NES Lobby and Marineford. And it's happened a lot. Yeah, so...
But the conversation was pretty exciting as we realized that that if that's true, that there's no way Wano is happening next. Like there's probably going to be an arc in between.
Well, we always knew that the Reverie was going to be because he said it was going to be. Yeah.
He did say that.
And I mean, how what do we think that means? Do we think that means that there's going to be like a full year-sized arc for the Reverie?
No, I don't personally.
No. I do.
Well, okay, Sam. Sam, if you're right, you could host an episode of the podcast.
And I think Greg was saying this too. He was saying this on the live stream we set up, talking about this because everyone was just their ideas were going crazy. But just on like a few story details, if we expect I think it's safe to say that we should expect a full moon at some point during Wano, right? But then the time in the world would have to be a little later than we're expecting. And then the whole, Derma has an invitation to the Reverie. I think that's going to get used. And
I mean, that's still, I don't understand geographically how they would get there. And I think Sam, you're the one who's like, oh, Germa totally could get there now, but I still.
Yes. And you said no, and I said yes, and
I'm still saying no, and I still don't think it's going to happen. We should have some real wager here, Sam. I think.
I think it really depends on when Germa exits Whole Cake Island. If they don't stay all the way through, they might be able to make it. I mean, it really just depends on when this Reverie is actually taking place.
We don't. Yeah, because
they're staying.
We're vague.
I think they're staying, but you never know.
We've been vague on how soon the Reverie is.
True, very true.
Have we been vague, Punk? Anyway, there's other news that's out, including it's not really the kind of news I care as much about. Not to put a damper on it, but there's a new smartphone game that's coming in 2018, and a lot of people out there are pretty damn excited about this. So Kelly, you want to fill us in?
Sure. So this next smartphone game is going to be called One Piece Bounty Rush, and it's also made by Bandai Namco. And this is actually the fourth One Piece game that they've put out. They also put out Grand Collection, Thousand Storm, and Treasure Cruise. And this particular new game is going to pit 2 teams of 4 against each other to collect berries before the time runs out. So you can take berries using different items. For the most part, it's going to be free to play with some in-game purchases. And I believe it's going to be playable at Jump Festa this year. I think I saw something on Anime News Network about that.
Cool. And there's one more piece of news, mostly for those in China. I don't know how big our listenership in China is particularly, but it's still pretty exciting when One Piece gets out of Japan in in this kind of way. So you want to tell us a little bit more about it, Kelly?
Yeah, we've got two major openings in China in 2017, so November and December. And the first is a new Mugiwara store that's going to be opening in Shanghai, I believe, November 18th. And it's located pretty close to the Shanghai International Airport, about 2 subway stops away. And this is going to be the, I believe, third foreign Mugiwara store to open up. With stores in Taiwan and Thailand preceding it. And then in December, we're getting a one-piece restaurant in Hong Kong, which is going to be somewhat similar, I think, to the one that opened in South Korea last December. So basically, setting being on the Sunny. So no real word on the menus or anything like that.
I hope they have dim sum, because Chopper is holding
so.
some there, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool with the Shanghai store to see the local items. I always love the local items for the non-Japan Mugiwara stores. It's usually them wearing some pretty great outfits.
They just need to bring one of these to the United States already. Come on. Big thanks to Joe for breaking 2 out of those 3 stories, our brand new news reporter there. Anyway, I think that'll do us for news. You want to get into the manga recap?
Sure.
This is the manga recap for chapter 885. I'm Brule. I'm not, but I mean, you get it. Ed, what's going on the front page here?
Well, continuing the saga of the self-proclaimed Straw Hat Fleet, Volume 19. Idio, the boring one. We're moored on a lonely island, so build a ship out of the undamaged parts. As the 2 kings fight while tied up in the background.
Mateo,
The boring.
Now
They're not doing anything.
Didn't you decide to make that boy band version of the basically of the
that was just a piece of the tweet question, I think.
Yeah.
Did somebody mention the Lonely Island?
Perfect. So yeah, what do you guys think of this?
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty boring.
Mm.
I mean, we get more confirmation on the shape of Abdullah's body. That's the most interesting. He's basically Eggman.
Was there not a confirmation on the shape of Abdullah's body?
Just the way his legs get all tiny like that is funny.
I'm just checking out this pair of gams up in the front here.
Whoa. That's certainly what those are. Yeah, I guess the long leg, long arm tribe thing continues in the background there with the Angry Kings. But we'll see where that goes or doesn't, because it's a cover page story, so who knows. Final thoughts on that?
Yep.
No? Yeah. You mean no? Ed.
I said yep. That's what I said.
Why aren't you start us off here?
Okay. Well, it's back to the Katakuri and Luffy fight, and Luffy notices that Katakuri is back to being tough again. He's regained his composure. And so Luffy unleashes a Kong gun as the donut mochi fist deflects the attack. And still, another one goes off and barely misses Luffy. He notices more donuts are springing up all the time around him. And a power mochi comes shooting out of one, hits him straight in the liver. And like the hockey crackles around him. It's pretty looks pretty painful. Triple exclamation point.
I know that we talked about, or Sam mentioned this looking like Bayonetta, these donuts turning into fists. But in that second panel with the Kong gun, like it definitely had a Pacific Rim sort of vibe, like because he's making the same motion Katakuri is.
That's what I was thinking
as the giant fist. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think this power is super awesome. Yeah.
It was
last week.
Yeah, it was hard to figure out the first time I saw it, but now that he's been using it more and more, it's like, yeah, that is pretty awesome.
Next page.
Oh, that's me. So yeah, we get the reaction from Luffy being punched in the gut. Not great. Gets punched all the way back to crash into one of the walls in the mirror world. And meanwhile, Katakuri, as Luffy bounces off, is like, I believe you were confirming that as long as I'm calm and cool, I am effectively invincible. And Luffy is just huffing and puffing, You will expose your weakness again. You are beatable. He's gotten his now that he knows kind of the trick here. He's gotten his determination up. And Katakuri is like, "Oh well, you're deflating," and Luffy just talking out loud. Gear 4 is running out. Change of tactics, and then he just literally says, "Thanks for the reminder. Won't be able to use hockey for 10 minutes. Got to get away as far as I can." Literally shouting it out, his weakness. As Katakuri's like, "Okay." And he just melts into mochi, flows his way around, and says, "I'm not soft enough to let you get away." So a great tactical move there on Luffy's part. Every bit of that definitely went just as planned.
By the way, the tactical move had to be reminded by the person who saw the future. So, I don't know, well planned or not, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Kelly?
And we have a continually deflating Luffy with a big fushoo as he just deflates and bounces around. And he's now basically just running through the mirror world. Gotta last 10 minutes. There's no way I can stop him without hockey. So still once again announcing everything, his weaknesses, etc. And realizes that Katakuri is on his tail. Damn it, it didn't work. I couldn't shake him. Oh man, this is bad.
I just, sorry to interrupt, but it's nice to see that unlike Dressrosa, Luffy isn't completely useless after using this. He just can't use hockey. It's a big deal. I think.
Absolutely.
Either last week or the week before, we were talking about how Oda's going to have to at least diminish the problems that come with Gear 4 because he's been using it so much. Because he couldn't just stop dead there. That would be the end of it.
Do you think that this is Oda saying that Luffy's more or less over that hurdle of Gear 4 now? In general.
Yeah, I think by omission, yes, he is saying that. I don't think he would explicitly state it that way, but it's as a reader, you don't want to.
This is the other question.
Yeah, as a well, no, I think as an author, he wants to abbreviate all of the sort of drawbacks and the machinations of the powers as he reuses them. So. I would not have. I would have been surprised if he had gone that entire route again, like with the being completely incapacitated.
Yeah, I was worried when this chapter was first unfolding. Right. I was like, oh god, this again.
Makes me laugh how much it looks like Luffy's projectile vomiting right there.
Yeah, it really does look like it. And the shoe sound doesn't help. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And let's see. And Katakuri is basically like, "This is a disappointment. I didn't think you'd give out so soon." And as Luffy's running, he turns a corner, and then you have these great side-by-side panels
it's just a double take,
of them both just staring at each other with a big bam. And once again, Luffy making an absolutely horrifying face. Not as bad as the one he made when he told the rest of the crew that he was fine through the shard of glass, but this is still pretty creepy, to which Brulee's like, yeah! And Katakuri realizes Brule is there, and he's like, "What are you doing there?" As she gets whisked away through a mirror.
And then we turn the page, and Katakuri is going after them. He's saying, "Wait, Straw Hat!" But it's too late. The mirror has broken. Is Katakuri breaking the mirror?
I think he is, yeah.
Well, no, he's trying to grab Brule.
And he just punches it by accident, I think.
Bad luck.
Yep.
Or Luffy.
Well,
see that in the future.
Because if Brule is not touching the mirror, then it no longer is a portal. So
Luffy
pushes her through.
So he got through just in time, and then Katakuri's attack just breaks the mirror. Damn, Brule. So they arrive on the other side. It's Luffy. He's holding on to Brule for dear life. They land with an oof. Whoa, made it. We're in some town. I don't know what this place is. And he thanks her, calling her Branch again. And she says, "I'm Brule," the title of the chapter. And
this memorable line.
It'll be on all the T-shirts.
It's really
year.
not. Yeah. It's really not the best pick, I don't think. But he's saying, "Okay, now I just need to take this breather. I can wait here for my hockey too." And he looks up and he realizes he's taking his breather in the absolute worst place possible. He is on Nuts Island, where Big Mom is wreaking havoc. This is like an amazing big giant panel where Big Mom is on top of the giant peanut, holding another giant peanut over her head, and she's like eating her way through it.
I think that's just the other side of the peanut. Like, peanuts are like, they have the two nuts inside, so it's the upper nut and the bottom nut.
Well,
right?
She's broken the bottom part off. And
right. Yeah,
because this peanut. Yeah, because this peanut is looks like it's a building in this town.
Guys, let's dissect this peanut more.
The windows on the upper one are upside down. You can see from the shape.
Yeah,
but like, does that mean that the bottom of this main peanut is missing?
No,
I think this is just another peanut.
Yeah, I was thinking it was another peanut. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Nuts Island.
She grabbed the peanut and then she King Konged her way up to the top of the peanut she's on now.
Exactly.
I see.
But within like the language of this town, she's on top of like a skyscraper, holding another skyscraper above her head.
That's correct. Yeah.
With a mouthful of the skyscraper, I think.
There's a lot of.
And she's saying "wedding, not cake," which is different than what she normally says.
How many chapters has it been now?
Down below saying, "Stop it, Mama! This is my town." And Amande, yeah. And Sparrow Sparrow is saying, "Of course, that's not a cake, Mama. It's Nuts Island. There are no straw hats here either." And if he turned his head a little bit, he knows that Luke was down below with Brulé.
By the way, I'm so sad.
We should have been more excited. We should have been more excited that this was Amon's Island.
Yes, probably. I am so sad we prematurely used the Nuts Island.
No. It's okay, Zach, because this was Nuts Island. It is no longer.
It's an X Island.
Yes.
To be.
That's right. Thank you.
I can't remember. Is Amanda reference to almond or is that something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, amande is the French word for almond.
By the way, I am so happy the Deus Ex Machina of finding Brulé sitting in the mirror world for some reason, just hanging out.
She was there the whole time, like talking, like narrating the fight.
Yeah,
and, like,
but wasn't she just sitting in the hallway?
To be able to take Katakuri once they beat Luffy to get out of the mirror world, Brulé has to be there.
Yeah, but she just looks like she's sitting on the floor there.
Well, she's hiding behind one of the walls, isn't she?
Yeah. Anyway, but it's nice that ends
she's
up...
hiding around a corner. Is what she's doing.
I love how the escape isn't actually an escape, but just like a continuation of this insane series of events. That's all I'm trying to say here, guys.
The fact that it goes to Nuts Island is actually the most contrived thing about it.
So, by the way, is the guy on the left in that big spread the mayor of Nuts Island? Because I would imagine that the mayor of Nuts Island would wear that Nuts hat.
And the jacket says nut.
Just to drive the point home.
It's got a nut vest.
It's a ceremonial position.
Look,
it doesn't have any real power.
I think it's a little bit nuts to wear something.
Mayor Nutter Butter.
All right, now who's going to cosplay
Mayor
this
Nutter
next
Butter?
year?
Oh yeah,
What's that?
Nut Man.
No, Mayor Nutter Butter.
Nutter Butter. Nutter Butter. Where are we, Steven?
Prospero.
Wait, where are we, Steven?
We are on Nuts Island.
Thank you.
And Prospero is continuing his explanation to Big Mom that Straw Hat is not here. Straw Hat is Straw Hat, Brulé, Straw Hat. There's just everyone is taking stock of who is there, including the misfortunate nut that is getting stomped on right now by Big Mom. And the crowd notices as well that Straw Hat Luffy the pirate is there, and Prospero seizes the opportunity and he points with his candy, his new candy hand, there, Mama, and she's like, "Oh, Straw Hat," and so Luffy is of course just as confused. He's like, "Wait, what is Big Mom doing here? Where is here? What is going on?" And so no, she's no longer out at sea chasing the Sunny. She's here wherever he is, which is Nuts Island. And then the unfortunate loosened giant nut gets tossed directly towards them, and that's huge. We see Luffy and Brulé running away in the foreground, but there's this giant structure is tearing up the earth, and everyone is running. You can see Amand is leaping out of the way on the side. And Big Mom descends the nut with a giant thud, and she is chasing after them while Brule is pleading with Mama and Brother Peros for help. And then he sticks out his biological hand this time and says, "Unhand my sister, Candy Wall."
And out. Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
So it's a good visual joke of and where is here?
That panel where he's pointing with his hand, I thought it was Big Mom's tongue at first, and was very concerned.
I see how that is a thing that you would think. Anyway,
Mama gearing up to throw that peanut is also tremendous. Like the view from under her face as she's like herking this thing up to throw it at them. It's great.
Yeah.
So we go to the next page and we see. I love the little sound effects coming from Brule here. Just the as Luffy heads toward the candy wall. And really, this making me happy that Gear 4 doesn't the whole Gear 4 comeuppance thing isn't what it was in Dressrosa here, because Luffy does a giant pistol in Gear 3 here to get through the wall, which he does is unsuccessful. He swishes his hand back, but Amand, in her attempt to swish and slice and swoop, or whatever sound effect you want to use here, Luffy in half, accidentally gives Luffy a little bit of a path here, although he jumps over the candy wall anyway. And we have, I guess this is still Brule yelling for Brother Perospero here, and Amon yelling to get the candy out of her way.
No.
Is that...
That's both Amon. She's telling Peros to get this candy out.
Oh, you see, that makes more sense. You don't see her, so it's not.
She's annoyed.
Yeah.
I love that little detail of like she just cut a little tiny slit in the wall, and now she's staring through it like, "Hey, I'm stuck." It's pretty funny.
He turns it back. I don't know if he's turning that wall back into the candy slug, or if he's just creating a candy slug that is transporting Big Mom, who is saying, "Give me that cake," which is a slightly different take on what she's been saying for, I'm going to say, 10 chapters now. And Luffy saying, "I guess I should assume the rest of the gang got away safely. Meanwhile," Steven?
Well, actually, just a quick note with Amon's attack, Slow Waltz. I don't know if anybody remembers several many chapters ago when Amon first used an attack on Kingbaum called Slow Ballad, and I was explaining at the time that the ballad, the sound bara, is short for like bara bara or barasu, which means to split into pieces or to separate, and that like, was so
Buggy's fruit.
Exactly. So that was a little bit of wordplay here. And here she's doing slow waltz, which is warutsu, and waru means to split as well. The Japanese verb. So Oda has been making the pattern there. And we turn the page, and we are at sea. Speaking of the crew, here they are on the Sunny, and Nami has changed yet again. So she's wondering, it's too quiet. Meanwhile, up on the crow's nest, the rest of the crew, smooth sailing. And Jinbei agrees that it is too quiet. This is they can't get complacent here because the Emperor's pride is at stake. So they're gonna find a way to get back at the Straw Hats. So Nami says, well, anyways, we need to get back to the straight route, the straight line that should be intersecting Big Mom and Sanji and the cake, because they if they cannot rendezvous with that, not only will they not be able to reunite the entire crew that's here on this island, but they'll also they'll just wind up getting chased eternally, because presumably Big Mom will not have her cake. So meanwhile, we see, speaking of the forces of Big Mom, we see all of them. Montdor is giving them a big speech about what they should be doing. All Tart ships need to be launched to sea, and we can see that they've got all the different numbers, 7, 9, 12, 21. All the different bases are sending out their their ships. And so they need to make up for the terrible blow that the Straw Hat crew has landed on the Big Mom pirates and their reputation, as well as the treacherous cohorts who betrayed our queen Big Mom, which would be the Fire Tank pirates and the Fishmen who vanished, the Pirates of the Sun. And we get a little rogues gallery shot of the various members of the Big Mom, the Charlotte family, including Compote. She has not been forgotten. She's still around, looking very momly there. And all of these naves are at large on the sea within Totoland. And then we get a view of the, just random soldiers all kind of standing around like, why do we have to search for them? Like, isn't that what the territory slugs are for? Oh, no, they've all gone missing. What? And so basically the mission is find them and sink them. And we see Smoothie as well leading another little troop of guys.
Ed, finish this off.
Stephen, who is that on top of the Sunny on the lookout? Is that Chopper and Carrot?
And
Brooke, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't mention it, but the Nami change I think is nice. It's different, which is
I like
good.
the belt.
Really comfy.
Yeah.
It's like a one-piece sweater.
Oh, maybe that's the one piece. Okay.
I also love the look that Jinbei is giving here. He's like, I don't know about this. He seems a little bit worried.
Well, Jinbei always looks like he's worried.
They'll get used to it with a screw.
Yes. So back at Chocolate Town, Cacao Island, the sweets factory. Aye! What just happened here? Did the groom just poison you? Ask him how it was. It was deathly delicious. He's dying. This man is dying of flavor. Look at the bliss on his face.
I love the eyelashes.
And
Taking a Flavor Town.
Yeah.
Fresh cream is Sanji's secret ingredient. This cream is his true essence of sweetness. Want to try it? It's finished. The ultimate cream, Sim Sim Whip. It's truly a miracle. He's sparkling and everything. It's a miracle whip. Yeah.
I should describe Sim Sim is it's the word for sesame in like a kind of a group of language, I think Middle East and Northern African languages. And actually, I went back to look up in the previous chapter when Sanji was describing the list of ingredients that he wanted, sesame was one of them. So I was like, okay, I know I'm on the right track with this translation of it.
But Sanji continues, you'll want to hold off on this for now, because I can't afford to lose your cooking ability. This would literally disable her, is what he's saying. So we're going to spread this incredible cream all over that cake.
Calm down.
Don't even think about trying something. Do you want to die, man?
I think even the thought of it is going to kill him. That's the implication here.
But the sisters have something to show him. It's the big fluffy chiffon cake and silky smooth chocolate with a. God, there's no way to make this sound good, is there?
Nope. So just keep going.
Crafted with a healthy dollop of Sanji Deer's cream.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Should I write that down?
Yes.
Yeah, put a lid on that.
With a little heart next to it too.
Yes.
Use a little emoticon heart in the episode title.
I don't like it, but I'll rate it.
Less than 3.
I love the it's sparkling and sliding out of the pot. It's so silky smooth. But Sanji has got he's a cool chef guy. He's lighting his cigarette and he says, it's 5 minutes until 6 o'clock. It's right on schedule.
Isn't the cigarette going to ruin the flavor? Anyway, please.
His whole life, man. So they're going to get on the ship. It's ready to sail and finish the cake up. And Sanji looks directly into the camera and says, let's go. My friends are in trouble, so we've got to knock out Big Mom.
I also could imagine the CSI Miami.
Yes.
There's a lot of possibilities there.
I love how ridiculous this whole island and arc and family is. Big Mom is the craziest villain we've had, maybe since Eneru, probably of all the whole series.
I think Eneru thought he was
She's-
pretty
It's
serious.
a good, yeah,
I
it's a
think
good
they're
argument to
both
have.
equally crazy, but she's wackier. Just the whole,
Absolutely.
because Enner's
Mhm.
like, I mean, his idea was crazy, but at least it was like conspiracy theory crazy. Big Mom's just bad shit.
He presented it in a composed manner.
Yeah, Eneru is I guess more the
Delusional?
Glenn Beck, and Big Mom
Yes.
is more of the Alex Jones. And there you go. No, she's
Rush
got to be
Limbaugh.
more. Yeah, I don't know who's fun and also crazy.
Those people
That's
are
on-
not fun.
No,
Yeah.
I took this metaphor down a dark
It
place.
doesn't matter.
So thoughts on the chapter. Let's start, Jill.
Oh, this is also sudden. Well, it was fun. I appreciate going to Nuts Island. Please skip me and come back to me.
Jill,
I can't do this right
How
now.
many
I'm
years
still
have you
laughing
been-
from Sanji's scream?
I told you when
He's
you're
gonna
tired.
Knock out Big Mom with Sanji's scream.
Sam,
Yes.
are you composed
Um,
enough to give your thoughts?
Um, it was not a chapter. The last couple of chapters have not been chapters that like you want to go out and you want to go and freak out on Twitter about how amazing it was. Which I think people are waiting for the next one like that. I can feel that people are really kind of bored by this chapter. Sorry, now I'm losing it. But I absolutely love the scenery change. I like how, because there's no way we're going back to the mirror world to fight Katakuri now. Like he would have to come to us, I think, and the rest of Luffy and Katakuri's fight would have to happen like in the midst of Big Mom's rampage and like the city's falling all around him. This is what I'm imagining right now, and I like how bringing Luffy to Big Mom means that the two main subplots of this climax, the Luffy versus Katakuri and getting the cake to Big Mom, now they're not separated. You know, like they could have solved each other. They each could have solved themselves without ever intersecting, but now they're intersecting. So I'm imagining a scenario where Luffy has to beat Katakuri because Katakuri is the thing that's getting in the way of getting the cake to Big Mom. So I think that's pretty cool if that's
I don't know
where
if
that's
that
going.
makes sense though, because how does Katakuri intend to stop her rampage? at
How
that
does
point?
Well, I mean,
Katakuri
there's-
get out of the mirror world?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
But I mean,
true.
like all Luffy would have to do is like let Brule go, and Brule would bring him out or something. And
Well, I mean, that's at the moment, Brule doesn't seem to be in control of the
Right.
situation.
I mean, Luffy hasn't let go yet, but
Why would you let go of Brule?
I'll never let go.
No.
and the big splash page towards the end here, towards the end here, where we're watching the Big Mom pirates set all their ships out, and they're talking about how I call all those straw hats and the fire tanks and the sun pirates, they all screwed us over. And you really kind of look back throughout the whole arc and like really kind of get a chance to admire like how much these smaller crews took advantage of like a very unique situation and are continuing to exploit it. I just love this constant series of like one thing after another. Nothing's quite going right, but as long as they don't mess up, they might be able to get out of this alive.
Kelly, are you ready to talk about it?
Still thinking about Sanji's cream, but I can talk about that.
Okay.
So, I think I echo everything that Sam was saying. It's a setup chapter. I feel like it was good to get out of the mirror world. I really liked the two panels with Nuts Island and the ships a whole lot. The nice with the scenery change as well. I feel like you're just heading toward this really kind of crazy naval battle, and I'm trying to figure out also how Luffy gets to them and where Nuts Island is in proximity of where everyone else is. So that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out, like, where is this all going to come to a head, because it just seems like it's going to be a big naval battle or something insane, since the cake is on a boat. And I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing all these other groups that we haven't seen in a bit in the chapters that they were mentioning here, just sort of all convening in a giant mess of God knows what. But I think it's going to be pretty epic.
Steven, what did you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm of two minds. I think there's a lot of good and there's a lot of questionable stuff in this chapter, and it's hard to judge it fully without knowing where it's actually going to go next. Because I think on the positive side, I agree with Sam that I think the change in scenery was cool, and it was unexpected, and given how long we've been watching Luffy and Katakuri fight in a way that is satisfying, but I feel like it's been long enough that a change in scenery would benefit them. It would make for a more dynamic finish if they do end up resuming this fight on
which
Nuts
I feel
Island,
like they have to, because they were talking up each other's weaknesses so much, and they never really got to exploit that.
Right. So I think that is positive, and there's some good humor, like Luffy and Brule being kind of silly, and jumping into Nuts Island, I think, which is such a funny setting, and
it's just fun to say Nuts Island.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Exactly. And right, kind of out of the frying pan into the fire sort of situation, like that is also kind of exciting, because it's like, okay, well, Luffy was running away from Katakuri to to cool down, to have his cool down, and to be able to power up again, but now he's in an even more dire situation, which could be more dramatic. But on the flip side, it's like, well, at least at the moment, it's kind of hard to see how does Katakuri factor back into this, because he is, as we've discussed, at least at this exact moment, he's effectively trapped back there, because he needs Brule back, and Luffy's still got Brule over his shoulder, so she's not going to be able to like run to another mirror on Nuts Island to help Katakuri through at this point in time. It's like this the whole thing with Luffy versus Katakuri. They're kind of a kind of mirror image of each other's powers, and the dynamics of that were interesting, but we didn't get a confrontation, or a conclusion, I should say. And I think there has to be more to it, because I think it's an extremely unsatisfying finish if it's literally just, okay, well, we fought to a draw, and then Luffy was like, uh-oh, gotta run, and then he kind of just goes off the side of the screen and then runs into a different scene. That's not a satisfying finish as it is, and I'm not sure how he intends to resolve that. And what was the other thing?
The only way I could think of, just to at least posit a theory, is that I think Luffy probably will have to go back into the mirror world to get out of the situation he's in there.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, he's still got Brule, so that's his ticket out.
Yeah, I mean, it's both a positive and negative. He could get out of any situation he needs to, but in getting out, he might or probably would run across Katakuri.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and also, like, what was the point?
Choose which. He would have to choose which one he wants to face more, Big Mom or Katakuri.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like, okay, well, what does this mean then? Like, what was the point of jumping back into, Big Mom? Like, does it cause Big Mom to do something different to set the plot in a different direction? Or is it literally just like she gets distracted by Luffy for 5 minutes and then he goes back and continues fighting?
I don't think he goes back.
I could see him going back, but not just yet. But I'm thinking maybe he's the trigger to get her off of Nuts Island.
I mean, I like
At
the
least keep her
idea.
moving.
I like the
I feel
idea
like we've
of
traded up now. I feel like Nuts Island is like such a more it's a bigger, more grand stage for like a big final battle than the Mirror World was.
I kind of disagree. Although Nuts Island is Nuts Island.
Could they get Big Mom into the Mirror World to stop her from breaking shit?
That'd be a pretty big mirror.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
That would be a gigantic mirror. I like the idea of the Luffy Katakuri fight instead of in being in the Mirror World, going in and out of different places through the mirrors. I think would also be a cool option for it, and that this is kind of a prelude to that as an option.
Yeah. The other aspect too is that the entire like the genesis of this fight of Luffy versus Katakuri was that he needed to, hold off Katakuri so that the crew could get away. They smashed the mirrors so that the Katakuri's forces can't jump through and get onto the Sunny anymore. And like, that was, mission accomplished. Like he did that. And unless Katakuri poses an immediate threat in some way, he kind of escaped here, and if we don't see Katakuri come through another mirror, then that's essentially like there's really no reason for him to have to fight Katakuri. So there's just a lot of questions, and I'm not entirely sure where it's going. It was definitely a bit of a curveball in my opinion.
I mean, it definitely emphasizes the fact that this arc is not your typical arc. It is an escape, kind of almost like an Impel Down thing. It's not about fighting people and winning or getting something. They already got everything. They just need to get the hell out of there now. They don't need to. I mean, as readers, we want to see these things.
I was kind of talking about this with Ash on Twitter. Like, there was a point in this arc where they could have gotten away already, and then Pudding came and asked Sanji for help, and then they decided to stick with the fight a little longer so that Sanji could.
But at this point, that's done, and they don't need to do anything else. They just need to get out of Dodge.
With Luffy versus Katakuri, it's their powers are so similar that I feel like there has to be like a concrete resolution to the fight.
Story-wise, but
I agree. Yes,
character motivation-wise, Luffy has no reason to continue fighting Katakuri. Right. But I think Oda will continue that because I think story-wise that needs to be resolved. I hope.
Well, that's why I think like Katakuri coming to Nuts Island and like maybe wanting to hold off on Big Mom getting the cake for whatever reason would be another reason for Luffy to fight him some more.
Ed, thoughts, if you have.
I enjoyed the chapter quite a lot. I think people aren't talking enough about the last 2 pages, although it's really just 2 pages. But they're like most. Like,
I guarantee you, everyone here was thinking about it.
There's a high level of like concentrated entertainment in these 2 pages here. Cream and like Sanji's like looking to the camera at the end of it, but also like the chocolate being so smooth that it's slipping out of the pan.
It was pointed out to me that this panel of Sanji here is almost identical to one earlier in the arc.
Yeah,
like it almost looks like he traced it. Like it's different. Like the lines are slightly different, but it looks like he traced it or something.
That man was dying of flavor.
I like just about. I just love the fight between Katakuri and Luffy, the way it sort of plays out physically before but then they do all this physical humor, like they just go around a corner and they happen to spot each other and do that double take, and he dives through, and probably she was already waiting by the mirror for Nuts Island because that's where she knows Mama went. So she's probably already sitting there, and they just sort of dive through. But I think, as you guys raised, it does have implications for the rest of the arc. But I'm curious to see where it goes. I was very entertained this week.
Great. Okay, so but Jill. Jill, I think you need a real chance to.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first part of this chapter wasn't super big on, if only because the idea of Luffy literally saying his entire weakness out loud as if to remind the audience, it felt really forced. And also, Luffy's dumb, but not like, let's literally explain every bit of my power. Like, Yeah.
We know Oda doesn't like to show his like thought bubbles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I get that, but also like, really?
He was a little more obvious with the explaining the situation thing than he usually is. Oda's usually a little bit better about that.
Yeah,
stuff,
it didn't make it better with just Katakuri literally like with a question bubble and then be like, a power up with a time limit. Like literally like, oh, thanks. But the gags on this chapter were fantastic. Every bit of just the faces running into Brule, immediately running into Big Mom, and then just like the Charlotte siblings getting in each other's way, and every bit after that, especially Sanji's cream chapter part, those were all really great. Some really good gags and reactions in this one.
There's a snake in the background behind. He's like next to the mayor of Nuts Island. He's just a snake with like a bow tie and a top hat. It's great.
Yeah, I did notice that.
There are a lot.
I
of
love
good
seeing
background
shots of all
characters.
the islands in this place. Every place is so different and unique, and it's really fun to look at the backgrounds. I particularly love the one panel of Amande as she's swooping around to do the slow waltz, because her neck goes faster than the rest of her body and her hair is following. I think that's a really gorgeous panel. And yeah, I'm kind of with Steven on this. It'll be interesting how Katakuri comes back in. I don't know if it's going to be more immediate, like Luffy's immediately like, oops, got to go back into a mirror world, or if it's going to be something where they have to, I don't know, have some shenanigans on Nut Island first before they go back in the mirror world and find him, or he gets out somehow because Brule gets away. So we'll see how that goes. And I gotta say, the last panel where Sanji's like, we gotta knock out Big Mom. I like that the plan has gone from just give her like a great wedding cake so she's not rampaging around to we're gonna make one so good that it's just gonna knock her out. That'll be that.
She's gonna die of flavor.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add. I think I kind of agree with Steven's position on this chapter. It was a fun romp. I think the highlight is that page where Luffy is looking up at how nuts Island really gets. I think the stuff with the fight was good. I liked Luffy's weird looking face with Brule. Yeah, I don't know if I have much to add. I do really enjoy seeing the Big Mom fleet. Seeing like, I think Oda has been living up a little more in the last few chapters of just like sea battle and sea warfare, and that's fun to see. I did not mean that pun to be there, but I'm looking forward to see more of that. Yeah, that's all I have there. Yeah, it's chill.
Oh yeah, I was just saying I hope so, because with the combination of Nami and Jinbei, sea battles would be really cool. And I would love to see like a full like sea battle. That'd be great.
It would be a great thing to see. And we also see a little Smoothie at the very end of that page, and hopefully she's been kind of the Marco of this arc. Let's hope she does a little bit more. But guys, Compote is back.
I'm waiting for Combo.
I think that's what we're all really excited. And also,
I just
Genie
want her
Weenie.
hat to be her weapon. I don't know what she's gonna do with it. I just want something to happen with it.
Excellent.
It's her.
After Big Mom dies of flavor, she's gonna be like, "All right, it's time for Big Sis's reign to begin."
On that note, why don't we go to the next segment? Ready?
Sure.
Okay.
This is the anime recap for episode 813, A Fateful Confrontation, Luffy and Big Mom. I'm your host Sam, and today, once again, we have with us Ed.
Hello.
How's it going, Ed?
Oh, it's going all right. Pretty good episode this week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, other episodes have been stronger, but there were aspects of this that I liked a lot.
Yeah. Title card this week begins at 4 minutes and 4 seconds. We open with the continuation of Luffy and Big Mom's argument over the phone. Mom is reminding Luffy that her crew is all in that room with them, and they don't need her help to kill him. They're all plenty strong on their own. And she's
this kind of frames the entire episode. This whole Well, except for the parts with Brooke and Pedro.
She's saying she's making a bargain with Luffy, saying if you give up on Sanji, I'll let you live. Basically, just using the agreement she already made with Sanji against Luffy. Basically, she talks about how Sanji and Pudding's wedding is very important to her, and reminds Luffy about the time that he gave her the Tamate Bako box or the Tamate Bako, and
she's very good at being menacing.
I did think it was a little funny, like out of nowhere, she brings up the Tamate box, like the conversation wasn't going anywhere in that direction, but she's like, "Oh crap, I wanted to bring that up."
Well, it's all about how they ate her candy and gave her all this treasure. So I think it makes sense that she would refer to that. But they do a good job of cutting between her in her room and then her on the snail, and I just enjoyed how menacing they make her.
Yeah. And they turn the conversation then to Lola. She's like, "Oh, cat burglar Nami, I heard that you had killed Lola because that's the only way you could possibly have her Viver card." Which turns out that's not the case. Turns out Nami and Lola are real tight. Lola was under the impression that her and Mom were all square. They are not, it turns out. I am surprised that she still thinks that we're family. Children don't know how indebted they are to their parents. And she.
Is this the part where Big Mom turns red?
Yeah. Well, no, that's in a bit.
Okay, that's amazing.
So it turns out in the past, Lola once rejected. That's interesting, knowing Lola. Once rejected the biggest political marriage that Big Mom was trying to set up, and had this marriage gone through, she would have had so much power that she would have beaten Kaido, she would have beaten Red Haired, and she would have beaten Whitebeard, and she would have been king of the pirates by now. And this is when her face is lighting up. It's like all the flats of in the coloring of her just like kind of pull out, and it's just like this weird fiery background.
It's like that. It's like the clothes in what Genkutsuo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Luffy's response to this is great.
Yes, but I was kind of weirded out by the weird the art style shift that happens here, where like suddenly Luffy and Nami are like way more like, the word I used in my review was sinewy, which I think is the right way to say it. It's like they're muscular, but in like kind of an ugly way.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that.
But the movie 5 song, the Luffy's Fierce Attack, kicks in, and Luffy's like, "Oh no, it's your problem. The only reason you're not king of the pirates is because you're not good enough, Big Mom."
Luffy's like hanging his head right before that scene, and that's a great sort of silhouette thing. Yeah, or like he's looking down as he's saying this.
And as usual, I love the smack talk that Luffy can provide, even when he's the one chained up in prison. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick your ass, Big Mom. You're the pathetic one who couldn't become king of the pirates." Then we get some scenes of Pedro espionage. I think we're past the eye catcher by now. There's some Pedro running around, cutting up guys, throwing dynamite sticks behind him, doing his cool sneaky Pedro thing, and the people in the repository, the treasure room, are responding to this. Baron Tamago's getting the information on the other end of the phone. And Smoothie gets up like, I want to see the action. But her walk is like super weird, where she's like, her upper body is like thrusting forward and her legs are like weirdly shiny.
That is kind of how, that must be kind of how it is to when you're a long leg,
Maybe.
You walk a little weird.
We come to a scene where Sanji is alone in his room. It's raining outside. He's sad, but he's kind of trying to talk himself through the scenario. And he's like, okay, I got to have a good attitude. I got to be my usual Sanji self. I gotta put the fact that I'm about to marry a beautiful woman. I gotta hold on to that. That's the one thing I've got in this life now.
He's chain smoking. He's smoking so much faster than you.
yeah, I noticed that. Like he's trying to get. He needs each puff immediately after the last.
Right.
He's like, basically. So he's doing his weird lovey eye thing. He's trying to get back to his old self. He's like, okay, I might as well get used to the situation I'm in. So he's going all lovey dovey for Pudding. We cut to a scene with Pudding and the maid is alerting her that the wedding dress that Pudding had picked out for herself was rejected by Mama, and she's like, nope, you just gotta wear whatever Mama tells you. And Pudding seems very sad about this, and knowing what we know from the manga about Pudding, I find this to be a super interesting detail.
Yeah.
And so she goes out into outside where it's raining. She's letting the rain go. It's basically the rain is covering up her tears, like she's super sad. I thought this scene was really undercut by the weird. There's an insert shot where like her cleavage like plunges way deeper than it was before, and it's like really badly drawn and awkward.
I don't know. I thought Nami's looked pretty bad in that scene.
But like already, like I think that the weird like ripped shirt thing she's got going on right now, there's some grit to it, there's some coolness to it, whereas Pudding is just like really silly looking.
I don't know. It didn't bother me that much. I love the pastels in that scene.
We come back to the prison room where
no, we get the brief flashback with her and Lola.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, she remembers. And there's a scene where like Mom's hovering over her, like, "Oh, Pudding, you look like a doll," and so we're getting some insight into how she feels about her relationship with her mother, and we see a flashback of little baby Pudding saying goodbye to Lola, who's setting out to find her own marriage. We come back to the treasure room. Not the treasure room, the prison room where Luffy and Nami are, and the rest of Big Mom's children are kind of hanging out. And there's this little greaser kid on a bike caterpillar named Anglaise.
I think it's Anglaise
or something like that.
I'm not sure.
And he's telling them about, there's an intruder, and like they're trying to understand what he's saying because he talks like a little kid who doesn't know his words entirely. And he's constantly saying thank you at the end of everything he says, even when it has nothing to do with anything. I'm not brushing my teeth tonight. Thank you.
But we get Mukuru almost says something. She laughs. She does not say anything.
So the basically the final scene of the episode is Mama, who is pretty annoyed by all the bad news she's getting, by all the fighting that Luffy is trying to bring her into, and she's like, okay, I need to cheer myself up, like Sanji needed to cheer himself up, so Mom's cheering herself up with her usual Disney musical sing along. How excited she is for the wedding cake tomorrow. She's dancing around. I think there's some reused animation with the homies dancing around her.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how her hat, Napoleon, gets a message, and she's like, "Oh, Mama, there's an intruder," and this completely ruins her mood. It screws it all up. But the instrumentation keeps going, and it kind of turns sinister as Mom has to sit down, and like she's her veins are about to pop. She's so angry. And then the last scene is then Pedro running through the halls some more. He's throwing some more dynamite. I think that Pedro kicking ass in the hallways is great punctuation to Big Mom being pissed off. And the last moment is Brook hanging outside the door, and he's saying, "All right, let's start this special live show," and Doom to be continued.
Mm-hmm. Be a pretty good episode this week. Nothing really super stand out about it. But
well, there's a lot that I thought was super. Like I thought the Pedro scenes were cool. I thought all the Lola stuff and learning about Pudding was great. I thought a lot of it was super. Like the art bugged me at times.
I don't know. I thought it was good, but it was more like sort of hinting at things or doing like a soft reveal, or Big Mom would mention something, but it's not really treated as a major reveal or anything like that. Like Lola rejecting the marriage proposal.
Yeah, and the whole scene with Luffy and Big Mom arguing, I thought was great, as it was last week.
Big Mom was very good this week.
Yeah, and I love the ending. I love the final song at the end. So. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Well, I enjoyed this episode despite the weird, awkward art moments that did bother me. Like that scene in the rain with Pudding's boobs just like as like almost the center of attention. I thought it was kind of embarrassing to watch, but it's One Piece. We're gonna see more of that eventually. Even if there's good episodes that don't do that, there's gonna be episodes that do that again.
Try not to think about it that much. One day at a time, 1 week at a time.
Anything else you want to say?
That's it.
All right. Let's move on to the next segment.
All right.
Welcome to Flavor Town. Population pieced together. I'll take it. I don't know. That's the best I could come up with. We're taking your questions, comments, and theories.
Zach.
What? Sam was judging me. Why don't we start with everyone's favorite segment? Ed?
DSP.
Sam, take it away.
All right, our first disc piece is from Morgil TM. So, how many jokes about Sanji's special cream will you guys come up with on this week's podcast? And then he makes a little wink. He makes a little winking face.
As many
also,
as possible.
Far ahead of you already.
Also, given the way everyone's reacting to it, you think we might be in for a Food Wars-esque foodgasm when Big Mom finally eats it, her naked body covered in pudding chocolate and sauce. I did not read the whole thing before I started saying it.
There's a reason I gave this to you.
While she squeals with pure pleasure. We have Food Wars readers on the podcast.
I read it.
I should after this.
Yeah, seriously.
Our next disc piece is from.
Not answering
that. This is the infamous name hyperbole.
Well done.
What's the likelihood of doing the 2 hours and 53 minutes fan fiction review podcast as a special episode or a Patreon only episode, and who would host it?
Roger would host it, and Roger would be the only one on it, and Jill also would be on it.
Oh, I'd be on that.
And Kelly, I guess. Okay, well there you go. It'll be Roger, Jill, and Kelly.
And then when he posted this disc piece originally, I was already planning to make a comment on this podcast about how we should make the 2 hours 53 minutes podcast the Boobcast 2 that Zach wants to do so badly. But then Morgil beat me to it in the disc piece comments. He just says the episode should be Boobcast 2.
I'm thinking of canceling the disc piece segment. Yeah, so again, if you want to send us your disc piece, all you have to do is subscribe to us on Patreon and follow us on Discord. That's all you need to do. And, ask better questions next time, guys. That's all I'll say about it.
Look, they're just following in Oda's footsteps. Let's be real. These are the ones he would answer.
To be fair, these are the most SBS questions I've seen from our audience. So I guess I'm proud, but not really.
What's the opposite of shame?
Less shame. Let's go to some emails. First one comes from Just Martin, who labels his question as stupid question. If the if the Straw Hats ran a massage parlor, which member of the crew would you request, and which would you avoid out of fear of permanent back damage?
Robin request, Frankie avoid.
It's a pretty simple. No, but Frankie has the little
Frankie
arms.
breaks out the small hands.
Yeah.
The small hands, yes.
It might be like one of those
big hands.
electronic, the ones you get at Brookstone or whatever it is.
I don't know. I think, no chopper massage. He has hooves.
Well, but Zoro would probably be awful.
Probably. Yeah.
It depends what point chopper is in. It might be more like a fuzzball rolling on your back. I mean, right?
Get Jinbei in those wooden sandals to do the walking on your back.
Yep.
What about Brooke? You wouldn't even feel him.
He's a musician. He's good with his hands.
Okay. That you're thinking of a different thing, Jill. Let's go to
ask about happy endings.
Let's go to Bartolomeo. I said Bartolomeo, not Bartolomeo.
My favorite Naruto character.
I know. And Simpsons character. Hey, One Piece Podcast. I found out about about you guys thanks to Super Eye Patch Wolf's video. Oh, that was really very cool. And I do want to thank him again for shouting us out on that video. So he's been catching up on all the old episodes, and he wanted to share two theories with us, a serious one and a crackpot one. The serious one is about Jack, who you guys may or probably don't remember. You guys...
Wasn't that long
ago? That was my addition to the question. You guys theorize that he is a fishman, but I propose that he's actually a Wotan, a fishman giant hybrid. First off, half merfolk like Praline can breathe underwater, so half fishman should be able to as well. He also has a normal skin tone and very few fish-like features when compared to other fishmen, much like fishman hybrids like Sappy. Who is that? I don't even know. And Dellinger. There was the giant one in
Big Pan.
Big Pan, that's it. Thank you. Finally, he is much bigger than the average fishman, but not quite as big as a giant, just like Big Pan. The only
I
other
feel like
known
Big Pan's a
wartime-
lot bigger than he is
I-
still.
I'd like to personally add to this theory that his braids actually fit the Scandinavian look that the Giants have a lot more. I don't know.
Oh,
if
you're an
that's-
expert in that now that you've been to Norway,
That's
huh?
true. I am. Everyone there had long, ridiculous braids. Well, it's a Viking imagery, when you get the Viking hats, it's a stereotypical image, though it may be. I know we don't usually judge by hair on this podcast, but I'll
And
throw
you know
in
where
that.
woolly mammoths are found? In the
In Scandinavia.
In museums?
Exactly.
They're extinct, Jill. Anyway, the crockpot theory is about Sugar, who is clearly a long-lost Charlotte daughter. I mean, she's named after something sweet, is always eating candy, and wants a bunch of people to die. Coincidence? I think not.
Monet would have to get grouped in too.
Yeah, she would.
The thing is, you guys mentioned Sugar on last week's podcast, and I blocked out of my head who that actually was. I'm like, who in Whole Cake Island is Sugar? Because
I
it does
cosplay
fit
her and I forgot about her.
Wow. That says something. I don't know what. Let's go to Reddit. Steven?
All right, we'll start with Yeoman Axel, who says, seeing Big Mom's giant homie ship, got wondering if this conversation happened earlier in the story. Or Tamago says, Mama? And she goes, Mom, what? Could Peckums et moi take the big ship out for a mission to get your candy from Fishman Island, Jolie s'il vous plaît? And then she goes, here, and she tosses keys with a cupcake keychain. Okay. Thank you for that idea.
I think that's the question as to why the hell Tamago had the command of the main ship. I don't think Big Mom leaves very much, even if she seems to at the moment.
She's a little more
Still
mobile.
in her
She's
territory, you know?
a little more mobile than the mother from What's Eating Gilbert Grape, but
What's next?
Big Booty Eater 6Y says,
Wow.
I feel like, Oda hasn't really used Smoothie at all during the Whole Cake Island arc. Which character from other arcs do you wish Oda had used more?
sounds like a leg man.
Yeah. Not a booty man. Used more. I don't know.
Smoker and Tashigi, I think, overall, really. Although we kind of got that with Punk Hazard, but I feel like they keep been in so many other situations with
I feel like that's a different category of character because those are
Yeah.
recurring characters, and this guy's talking more about like somebody who came and went and didn't do more.
Morgan's. But I know he's this arc, but come on, guys.
Well, the arc's not over yet. We still might see some more.
I hope. That's the one spin-off I'd watch right there.
Takes
We
time
get asked that
to-
question a lot.
Takes time to go to print.
Sarume, because he definitely should have joined the crew along with them at Fishman Island. Just saying. Could have been a pet. Could
I
have
don't
pulled a
remember
Sonny.
who. I didn't remember who that
Kraken.
was until you just said that. Yeah, okay.
My boy.
He's your boy.
I kind of wish, this is not a serious answer, but I kind of wish that like instead of having a whole bunch of new Fishman pirates, that they had all just been Zeo, and there had been like 10 times more Zeo jokes where he was getting stepped on and stuff. Like that was really funny. And yeah, highlight. All right, we'll go on to Shadow Iris, who says, with the recent news about the start of Wano being later than we think, I've seen a lot of fans complaining and thinking Whole Cake Island should have been over a lot faster. But there's a few plot threads left to tie up that I believe many people overlook. One of them being the underworld emperors, or well, they're not emperors; they're underworld tyrants or whatever. Oda wouldn't just introduce these. Yeah, kingpins. Wouldn't just introduce these guys and get rid of them as soon as the Tamate Bako went off. The underworld has been hyped for many years now, has it? And these are big players Oda chose to.
Punk Hazard. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That was many years ago, actually.
Are we sure that those are the same people that we were seeing? I mean, it's just the concept that there are criminal figures, which is a very vague thing. What do you think their purpose is? Could they serve as a convoy to enter a potential underworld arc before or after Reverie now, with Wano being so far away? What do you think the purpose of Stussy being CP0 is? Oda could have any character killed, felled while he was opening the Tamate box, but chose to introduce a member of CP0. With the territorial sea slugs down and all the chaos going off in Tutland, could Stussy have alerted her fellow members? Now's the time to take Big Mom down.
Too felled.
Stussy could go to the Reverie.
Yeah.
I felt hard. Yeah, that's true.
I forgot about Too Fell Hard.
I don't think that they're gonna play a huge role in this arc, but I do agree that he could find some use for them to transition out into a future development.
I see them playing a role in the story, but maybe not this story. Going
unless any of them turn out to be like actual powerhouses, I don't see them as really being like a part of what's happening. I don't really see their role. I definitely expect it in the future, but this arc I don't see much more in at least the current route we're going.
Yeah. I think they were more flavor for the arc. It's like they kind of just tossed them in there. They didn't have a lot of build up. There wasn't a lot of development for them that would suggest that they were supposed to be an important part of the arc. They were just they're like the extras at the party that they choose to linger on for a couple of shots, just to round out the cast.
I think it's a good way for whatever happens on Whole Cake Island, though, for that word to spread. You've got a newsman, you've got, CP0 there. They can get information to the world government really quickly. They can get information out. So I think there's a chance it could impact, some of the conversations at the Reverie for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's more likely a use for them. Prince of Assassins wants to know if you guys have a problem with Luffy escaping the fight via Brule. Okay, well, we did talk about this a little bit. Her being there, in my opinion, was stupid, but she was a decent distance away and seemed to be watching Big Mom at Nuts Island, so it didn't feel too crazy to me of an escape. And I believe this fight isn't over since Luffy would have to single-handedly sail to Cacao, and that sounds like it would take too long and be too dangerous. So I'm not upset the momentum went away because I think it's going to resolve. So, yeah, I think we mostly agreed with that and definitely agree with the rationale for Brule being where she was in terms of, letting Big Mom know or keeping tabs on what was going on Nuts Island. Vanman51 says it's confirmed. Oda listens to the podcast. He heard you wanted more Nuts Island, and he delivered.
Yeah.
It's gonna be this showdown is gonna be all of Nuts Island.
It is.
Like what?
It's all gonna be Nuts Island. Yes.
Yeah, it's all gonna be Nuts Island.
That's a lot of nuts.
Oh my god, you guys!
Chock full of nuts.
Nuts and cream.
We know Oda has at least seen OPP Japan, so he has some frame of reference to the One Piece podcast.
Welcome to Nuts Island. Since we're going to be in Totoland longer than expected, what other islands or characters would you like to see in this arc, even if only briefly?
Cheese Island. Isn't that the other one? Cheese Island?
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I am so sad we have not seen very much of that. What are the other ones that we haven't seen?
Was it Juice?
I should have made this the quiz at the end.
Actually, there was a Flavor Island. Remember that? We were making jokes about that.
I could look it
maybe
up now.
We were joking that was Marlboro country, so maybe that's what the chef was dying of, lung cancer.
Wait, I could look up the other here. I have it in front of me. So we got Jam Island. We haven't been to yet. Nuts Island. Cheese Island is Montdour's island, actually. Biscuits Island. I'm done with that. We don't need that. Candy Island, which is Perospero's territory. Apparently there's a Milk Island, a Flavor... Why is there a Milk Island and a Cheese Island as two separate things? Anyway, Flavor Island, which is where I think when you die of flavor, it should be in Flavor Island.
That's where you get buried.
Fieri Minister of Flavor Island.
Wait, there's a Liqueur Island? I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's where we need to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Komagi, what is that? I'm looking at One Piece wikis. That's Katakuri's island, so it's the Minister of Flour.
Okay. Some more anime only crap.
Is that what that is?
I don't know.
There's a Pori Pori Island, which is Daifuku's. Oh, it probably was in the little subtext. And a Yakigashi Island, which was ovens. That's what I got here. I mean, I could hear. I could click each of these.
This must. Either that or it's in the SBS for the next volume that just came out.
You know what?
which I have
SBS.
not
Yeah, that's what it
through
is.
already.
Yeah. Okay. That gives that
All
explanation.
right. So we'll run through all of those in the near future. All right. Swordmaster 21. Has there ever been thought of looking into a collaboration with the cooking channel Binging with Babish? I believe Ed mentioned being a fan
No,
of the channel.
it's
Okay.
It's binging with Bavish.
Okay.
It's a food channel. Man cooks food.
Oh, okay. All right. They missed it. He did not include the E, so it just says Binging with Babish. He's using the search engine. I thought One Piece themed cooking episode seemed like something they would do.
That sounds cool to me. Yeah.
Mm.
I wanted to remember when Carvel was like, briefly getting back to us on Twitter. I think there's just so much ripe crossover possibility with all the food here.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
by the way, completely unrelated to that question, there was a Jeopardy tweeted One Piece this week.
What?
So there was a manga category.
Yeah,
it was a
manga
manga category.
Yep.
Yeah.
there wasn't a One Piece question.
There was
but
not. No.
That was how they tweeted it. Yeah. Put down your One Piece and watch this.
Well, because
video.
you would, I'd assume you're reading One Piece because it never ends.
You're reading it all the time. Come on, Zach, what kind of fan are you?
I'm actually surprised Jeopardy hasn't done more anime or manga stuff because I feel like the people who write those questions must, there must be some of them that are fans of that. So that was cool.
Change.
Yeah, yeah.
Next comes from Ann Boob, who says, I don't see much discussion of Pudding's devil fruit, and that seems like a huge oversight to me. Assuming that Big Mom can be incapacitated by a cake, Pudding can strip her of her memories of the Straw Hats or strip her of her traumatic childhood. If we're to assume that Sanji is in love with Pudding, might we see her wipe his memory so he doesn't have to give up the all blue? Her ability can massively shift the narrative. Also, a pet theory, the mirror world occupies physical space on the island and was constructed specifically for Brule. No justification for it, really, just thought I'd put it out there. Wasn't that like Hunter x Hunter? Wasn't that the video game turned out to be an actual island somewhere in the world that they were all teleported
to? Oh, yeah.
Anyways, I think the reason that we haven't talked much about Pudding's devil fruit is because we already have speculated all of those things, and there just hasn't been any, update or development relating to her, relating to like what they're going to do about Big Mom once, presumably the cake is successfully delivered. So, I think that's the only reason why we haven't been talking about it recently is because like, okay, well, the possibility is out there, but we just haven't gotten close enough to it yet.
Yeah. Recent chapters don't exactly make me think of new, pudding theories here.
Right. She's just kind of doing her role in the story, which is to cook the chocolate. So, yeah. Nivers wants to know, which of the King of the Hill guys would you like to see give sensitivity training to some of our not-so-progressive thinking One Piece characters, such as Frankie and Senor Pink's attitude towards women, or Sanji's discomfort with alternative lifestyles?
What was the guy? It was like one of the first episodes of the show. Like, loud is not allowed. God, I haven't. It's been a long time since I watched an episode of.
Yeah, I mean, I would have figured that they would be the ones there getting the class with them.
Yeah, most likely.
Wasn't it Mr. Van Driesen from Beavis and Butthead, the hippie?
Oh yeah, Lesbian Seagull.
Speaking of Mike Judge characters.
Yeah. I want to say that wasn't it like revealed that actually Boomhauer wasn't like he actually had like kind of a chill side where he wasn't like as stereotypically redneck, but I don't know. I forget.
I don't know. He wore a Speedo and drove a sports car, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's Frankie.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
Travi wants to know, even though the fight between Luffy and Katakuri is now in between rounds, it is shaping up to be a great standoff. I can't get enough of the unstoppable donuts attack. 2 questions. What other not mochi attacks do you think we will see out of Katakuri? And what go-to fights in One Piece can you revisit and say, yeah, that is why I love One Piece? For me, it's Crocodile and Lucci, hoping Katakuri joins this list. For the first one, I don't think you would see any other non-mochi things because, like, specifically donuts is like his favorite thing. So, you know, why would he go to another thing that he doesn't like as much as donuts? That seems out of place.
It seems nuts.
As for fights, I've always been a big fan of Luffy's fight with Magellan, even though he lost it. That was a great fight. Also, I also like to go back to revisit the fight with Lucci, just for stylistic purposes.
My favorite. Can you guys hear me all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm laying down on my couch like I'm in therapy. My favorite fight.
It's about time that this podcast serve as your psychological respite.
My favorite fight in One Piece is the Oris fight, where everyone teams up, and also the Enaru fight, just because I love Skype and I love how satisfying the finale is. Oh, and Luffy versus Bellamy.
Oh well,
all the fights—they're all good fights. I love
them. Yeah, I think I like the Enaru one. Also, just because I feel like the setting just adds to it so much, like the sort of apocalyptic nature of where they were fighting is a big draw for me.
Yeah, I really like the Enaru fight, and also Down in the Tomb with Crocodile is pretty fantastic, especially when you take it into context of it being the third fight that they have.
It's a great one.
What about you, Zach?
What was the question?
Zach's
Favorite
getting down on the
fights.
couch too.
No, I'm actually preparing for the quiz at the end of the show. I took this opportunity. Yeah.
Name Luffy's fights. This is the next question.
Oh, is that what it? Was it named Luffy's the favorite fight with Luffy?
Mm-hmm.
What can you go back to?
Any fight, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you go back to?
This is the Jeopardy question. Name a fight.
Just go to the next question. I can't do it.
Couldn't pick one.
All right. Rainer Not a Fox says was to compare the criticisms about General Smoothie to that of Captain Phasma from Episode 7 of Star Wars. They are female antagonists who are in great positions of power, who at first seem poised for awesomeness, but ultimately get the short end when it comes to screen time and any noteworthy actions. Now that it's clear that this arc might run longer than we initially thought, do you think Oda will use this chance to rectify this mistake and give the character the spotlight she deserves?
I'll be honest, by the time Episode 8 comes out, I'm sure we'll have seen way more Phasma than we'll ever see of Smoothie.
Yeah.
I think the answer is the same for both of these, which is that they just have not had the big moment yet.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's coming. It's coming in the future.
Fingers crossed for both of them.
I do not have my hopes up that we're going to see a big Smoothie moment. I'll be pleasantly surprised if we do, but I'm not.
I hope
confident.
we do.
She's one
I
of the
think
sweet
we
three.
are.
Yeah, and she's kind of prominently featured in that spread this week, so that makes me a little more optimistic. But I don't know. Who knows?
Well, if you look at how much, we'll use the word screen time the other kids have had, I mean, she's still had enough of it that you think she'll have, that there's a higher chance that she'll have some sort of interaction or fight.
We had several chapters of fighting with Cracker and many chapters of fighting with Katakuri, so you'd imagine that the other Sweet Three general would get some kind of...
It would make sense.
I hope.
Which fight is longer at this point? Luffy versus Cracker or Luffy versus Katakuri?
Oh, Katakuri is...
I think Cracker's is still longer as it is right now.
Although, does it say something if Smoothie's the only one standing out of the four?
I mean, I guess the Cracker one got interrupted by like Sanji flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah, but like, how would they get off? I don't even understand how they would like escape if they don't have to beat like all of the mini bosses of the arc. 'Cause I feel like we're leading up to it where we have to have the big fight with Smoothie.
Yeah,
What's
because it's not like
next?
they're not going to pursue them.
Right. DDDD Freed wants to know, hey, OP Punks, what character in One Piece do you think is most abused or taken advantage of by the Straw Hats? We have several strong candidates right now between Brule, Kingbaum, and Caesar. Who else in the series is cursing the Mugiwaras for being jerks?
I want to put the
Buggy.
word abused in
Buggy.
relation to Caesar Clown in air quotes.
Buggy during Marineford was pretty great.
Definitely. Yeah. Buggy.
Kind of Brule too. This arc.
Yeah, that was
You
mentioned.
said that.
Okay.
Hachi in Arlong Park when
Uh,
hitching a ride from Zoro.
Trafalgar Law.
Good answer. Good answer.
Oh my god! Remember when they
mostly by
spent like
Law.
half an arc
Or
with
by Luffy.
with Law as like just a rag doll over Luffy's shoulder?
Oh yeah.
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 Brulee's
That
the
was
new
good.
law.
She
Yep.
is. And you know what? No, I'm not
Brulaw.
even going to say it.
Brulaw.
Brulaw.
My favorite ship.
Oh goodness.
Or you could,
She's much taller than he is.
or you could even. The name of this chapter should have been "I'm Brulaw." And all.
It's their Potara fusion.
Yeah.
What's next?
All right, White Bear Beppo says, Luffy running into Brule is convenient, but she was shown to be sitting there relaying info to Pudding. I think it's a great trade-off to give Luffy a convenient break while still tossing him into chaos so he doesn't get those easy 10 minutes of rest. Also, I think Oda forgot that he already drew that last Sanji panel in past chapters, LOL. Yeah, that's true. Although the mirror to Pudding would have been a different one because that's on a Cacao Island, not Nuts Island. So,
And about the Sanji panel, I think we've had at least 2 or 3 chapters now where the cliffhanger was Sanji saying something cool at the end.
Yeah.
Which is funny because before that we had 3 or 4 chapters where Pudding was switching back and forth, and that was the cliffhanger at the end. It's kind of weird that Oda uses the same kind of like, and don't forget about this thing that's happening, is like the cliffhanger, but like multiple times.
yeah.
As we know, Sanji is cool, so.
He
The only
is.
Do we know that?
the only thing I didn't like
I got
necessarily, and maybe this is, I could have done something for this, was that I thought like Sanji's sort of one-liner finish was not like that snappy. It was just like, let's bake this cake, and it was like he should have had something like, cake her away, toys, or one of the.
Exactly. Actually, that was Dressrosa.
No, it'll be Big Mom's about to get creamed.
Oh yes. See, this is the problem. I just need to do some brainstorming with you guys first.
I'm running out of I'm running out of room here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do these podcasts before you translate the chapters.
Yeah.
Without his cool, dry wit, Sanji will never be able to be a major action star.
All right, getting close to the end here. Umbre Sean 95 says, would it be crazy to say that I am more excited for the Reverie than I am for Wano? Don't get me wrong, Wano is going to be great, but I feel like the stuff at Reverie is going to be monstrous, series changing even. I feel like that is going to be where we find out where all of the big players are going to end up and what they stand for in this big upcoming war. Blackbeard and the Revolutionary Army have an opportunity here to make a huge statement. It should be fun. What do you guys think overall about it? I highly doubt Luffy will be there in person. We'll probably just get a good-sized side story. Thanks, guys.
I think it's easier to be highly anticipating the Reverie than Wano, because Wano's kind of a black box. We don't really know what's going to happen there, but we have an idea of who's going to be at the Reverie and what I think we're going to see. So
Yeah,
I think
'cause it's like-
easier to think about that.
I mean,
If the
Shirahoshi's
Reverie-
gonna be at one of them, and it's not gonna be Wano. So I'm gonna tell you right now.
Just like the news that Wano is like a year or two off. It's like shocking because like we want to see the whole crew together. We want to see what big idea Oda has in mind for Wano. But it is comforting to know that Reverie is going to be just absolute bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh no, I was just. Do you all think that the crew will stay separated that long? I guess I'm wondering, did they head to Wano right away? Did they go to Wano and come back? Because you've got that whole Marco retrieval thing going on. I'm just
Maybe
wondering
that's
if we really will have them separated that whole time.
I don't know.
You've just reminded me of Weevil, and I blame you.
I do what I can.
I just want to say quickly, I'm more excited for Wano only because I think Oda is more excited for Wano. Because I think he's been excited for Wano since he started the show,
Forever.
the series. Reverie, I think, probably is something I'm going to like more, but I don't think it's going to be. I still don't think it's going to be like a real arc. I think it'll be a couple chapters, maybe a few chapters, like anywhere from like 3 to 6. But I don't think it's going to be very many more than that. Everyone else disagrees with me, but whatever.
I agree with Umbre Sean. I am way more interested in the Reverie than in Wano, and part of that is just because I feel like the fandom hype for Wano is kind of having the reverse effect on me, which is that like we don't know anything about Wano, and like the stuff that excites me is like the exciting unknown, like when you see some new development get thrown in there and like without having any idea what that is going to revolve around, like people get really excited about Zoro and samurai swords and something like that, but like that's like, to me, that's kind of meaningless. Like, okay, so Zoro's going to have some cool stuff to do. Like, Zoro's always going to have some cool stuff to do. And I don't necessarily think that like that on its own is inherently more exciting than any other thing that he might do. And, I'm not like, I have not been won over by like Kaido's little taste that we got of Kaido. I need to see more of him to be more interested in what he represents. But Reverie is like bringing in so many different familiar and unfamiliar aspects and just touches so much of the story of potentially touches so much of the whole story and world of One Piece that we know, that like that is what is really, truly exciting to me, because you just never know what sort of stuff he's going to bring in, what kind of surprises and familiar faces and stuff like that. And, that is the kind of stuff that gets me excited to be like, oh, we're going to see this character again. Like, that's exciting. Not knowing, what new characters we're going to see, that's not necessarily exciting because there's always new characters that are coming. So that's how I feel about it.
Any chance to see Stelly again, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got to see his handsome visage again.
Have I said on the podcast that my theory is the joke is going to be that Stelly is just absurdly handsome?
I hope that's the case. That'd be hilarious.
It very well could be, although I feel like, we've had like Cavendish recently. We've had a lot of like very absurdly handsome,
I guess,
characters recently.
But not
Oda likes to make
evil.
bad people ugly, though.
Yeah.
He likes to make bad
right.
people.
That's true.
Right.
But I don't know. You should make bad people pretty.
It should be funny. Whatever it is going to be ridiculous. That's what I feel. Because he purposefully didn't draw Stelly's face. So,
it's going to be it's going to be like that. God, I wish I could. I don't even know how. It's that show with like the handsome men, but they're just like simple triangle faces.
Oh yeah, Gaku and Handsome.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. So our last question on Reddit is from Typeset. Do you think the lack of security on Whole Cake Island and territory right now will lead to other security breaches by other pirates?
That's the kind of chaos the Straw Hats always leave in their wake. We never get to see any of it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something that we would see.
At least until a while later, like we found out that Marine headquarters ended up moved or something.
I just want one final panel with Caesar stealing something. When all is said and done, I just want one little thing of him looting before he leaves, if he hasn't left already.
Yeah, if we saw something
steal
like
our
that,
hearts.
if we saw something like that, it would be like the post Whitebeard scenes after Marineford, where it'd be like, okay, they're leaving, the arc is over, and then you just see some randos like show up, like, Big Mom has fallen. Here we are. We're gonna take over her territory, and then just get totally smashed.
That'd be right.
Blackbeard types or Brownbeard types, I should say. So that's it for Reddit.
Okay.
And it's time to
Peace the tweet. Yeah.
What do we have on Twitter?
This week on Twitter, we have first question from Shogun Taz, who says, Katakuri's strength mochi attack is being compared to a stand or Susanoo. I don't know what that last one is. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, first of all, what's a Susanoo?
How is it spelled?
Susanoo.
Oh, is it?
Susanoo?
What is it?
Isn't that
This
from-
help me.
There's one.
That's like the god from Japanese mythology, but I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I think there is an attack in Naruto with that, but I have no idea if that's the reference or not. Just
Let's
throwing
roll
that
the-
out there.
We're talking
Okay.
about all the video game bosses that are just like a pair of floating hands, and you have to like shoot the eyeballs in their palms. And
I mean, isn't Daifuku's the most stand
Yeah.
devil fruit
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Genie Weenie.
Yep.
I hope we see more Genie Weenie.
I don't know, but the fact that he controls like remote things, that doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really make it like a stand to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one comes from Anime Queen 95. He says, "So Nami was with Chiffon all that time and didn't think to mention, hey, I ran into your dad in the woods earlier."
How long was she with Chiffon?
How? Yeah. What? I'm trying to remember.
Nami and Chiffon even meet? Really?
Yeah, just in
yeah,
Phage's
Capricorns.
castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh,
showered
that's
together.
That was a good scene, actually.
I can't remember. How did Pound reveal that he was Chiffon's dad or Lola's dad?
I thought he
Well,
just
he said that
it.
he was married.
When they were in the woods with them. He's
Yeah,
like, oh yeah,
like-
I have a daughter named Lola. And Nami's like, Lola?
And then we find out that Chiffon is
Okay.
her twin sister. So
Yeah,
Well,
that
she
does seem
knows.
suspicious. Yeah,
Yeah.
She probably just forgot
maybe-
about him. I did.
yeah.
Next question comes from the Polecat. It says, how come Funimation's streaming service is so wacky? If they combined Crunchyroll streaming with Funimation's dub library, I think that would be cool. What'd you call it? Funroll? Crunchymation? Am I going crazy?
VRV
These guys-
is what it's called. Right
Yeah,
now.
it is. It is a thing. It's called VRV, and there are other channels available.
Verve,
for,
I
like,
think is what
But
it's
sadly, VRV has a lot from Funimation and Crunchyroll. They don't have One Piece.
What?
That's bizarre.
Yeah, that is weird.
I think Miles told me once that it was on Twitter.
Tor-
It a licensing thing that they're working on.
Toei, when in doubt, the answer's Toei.
Yeah.
But Super's on there. Dragon Ball Super is on there. I don't.
I think that they're willing to pay more money for.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, also, it probably would get way more viewers. I mean, unfortunately, Dragon Ball still has,
One Piece- One Piece goes up to number 1 on Crunchyroll's popular
It
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
page.
Yeah, a lot.
I take that back then, never mind. For Funimation, though, I think DBZ is on a different
Right.
level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question. Poke Luffy 1 says, how many more months do you think Whole Cake Island will take now, and will you redo the contest?
I
so
said 895.
I pulled this
think
up,
I'm still
actually.
still feeling good.
So
I
I
think
pulled
I was
this
at
up.
900.
What are we at right now again? We're at
885.
885. So right now, Brian
So I've got
is winning.
4
Wait, I'll go through
chapters?
it. I'll go through this. Brian said 883, so he's the closest at the moment without going over. Steve is next at 888, then Casey at 890, William at 891, Alex at 892.
Wait.
Greg,
am I not on there?
you are. We're not. Oh, 887. I'm sorry. I listed you in the wrong spot. You're actually
I've got
next.
2
Sam.
chapters.
Yeah, you're next. so
It's a
probably
big
not.
explosion and it's all over.
Making that bet.
Greg is at
Man, that cake's
894.
gonna get
guns.
finished fast.
Steven, you're of the group here, you're after him at 895. Kelly, you had 900 and I had 901. Ed had 876.
Yeah, that was wild.
And Jill had 878, and you still owe us an episode for Zoe. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, that contest is still wide open, right in the middle of it,
Last
actually.
question. Last question, piece of the tweet this
3
week.
chapter after 20 chapters from now is gonna start to worry me.
All right, Quick Quest says, am I the only one not interested in seeing Guano? It's just nothing that intrigues me like Whole Cake or Elbaf. Elbaf would be interesting. I was reminded of it watching the anime this week, where
Yeah, I'm super excited for Elbaf.
talking about Lola's proposed marriage. Although, so we'll see where that goes from here.
I think people I think the people who are skeptics would probably be more excited if we had seen a glimpse of it, in a flashback very briefly or something, so that we got kind of an idea of what it looks like and stuff. Like, because I really wasn't that interested in Elbaf until we saw like all the designs and stuff in the flashback, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, whereas in the giant tree, like, where is he going to go with that? We don't have that type of stuff to go on yet with Wano, so it's again kind of a black box.
So that's all we got for Piece Together. Piece
That was
of
it.
Three. So we're going to round off and go through our special trivia contest thing that we've been doing at the end of the show. So stick around past the plugs for that. Ready to round off?
All right.
Okay.
あの大空に届くまで I believe 一つの明日
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 495 for the week of Monday, November 13th, 2017. Thank you all so much for coming on this week. Before we round off, I want to remind everyone we will be at Anime NYC. Kelly, you want to give us a little more information about where people could find the two of us there?
Yeah, we have a panel, 20 Years of One Piece, at 8 p.m. on this Friday, and it's panel room 3, I believe.
Thanks, Kelly. Why don't we get into plugs here? Steven, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Translatosaurus.
That sure was...
That's my plug.
Sam.
You can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw, and they can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, Dragon Ball Super, and now Black Clover. They can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the daily stream, doing the anime recaps.
Technically, is the daily streaming reviews. See, Stephen, that's how you do a plug. It's lengthy and has lots of things. Jill.
Run out of breath. You lay down on
You
your
can
couch
find
still.
me.
Sam, your plug is going too long
You
now.
can find me being interrupted by Sam at every moment of my life. You can find me at Pirates on Luck on Twitter and most other social media for my daily streaming of Retail Hell.
And Kelly?
You can find me on OnePiecePodcast.com with a variety of different articles, as well as on Instagram and Twitter at Karuri.
And finally, Ed, where can the good people out there contact us?
You are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm Edward E. One Piece. I'm back to watching great anime movies and posting about it on Twitter. I watched when Marnie was there and my Kickstarter Blu-ray of Mind Game this past weekend. And that was they're both really good. Mind Game is an amazing film, but the podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Please support us. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast, Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast to leave us some piece together. Subscribe on SoundCloud. Subscribe on Google Play. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Or call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, or ways to take us to Flavor Town. Thank you all for coming on the show. And before we go, we are going to play the latest version of our game show for you guys. For those who don't know, we ask our contestants, that being everyone here on the podcast, to name characters or places or whatever it might be in a particular category. We go in the order you guys were chosen for our manga recap. So this week it will be, please remember, Jill, Kelly, Sam, Steven, and Ed. Today's category is Vice Admirals. That is today's category. There are a lot, and I'm gonna say, if this is going to be Vice Admirals of both the present and the past, only canonical ones, and if you're naming one that was formerly a Vice Admiral and became an Admiral, you must use their name as they were as a Vice Admiral. I will not give you an example because that will give one away. So you will each get 5 seconds after I read your name. If you don't, you're out.
5 seconds, jeez.
It's 6 seconds.
This game has gone on far too long.
The one who wins will get a free donut from me when you see me next. Let's begin. Jill.
Strawberry.
I knew it. Kelly.
Suru?
Yes. Sam.
Momonga.
Yes. Trying to find him here. There he is. Steven.
Very good.
No, he was not a
No.
vice admiral,
Okay.
Okay,
Stephen.
thank God I'm out of here.
Jill. Oh, Ed. I'm sorry. Ed.
Oh.
Doberman.
Jill.
Borsellino.
Yes. Kelly.
Bastille?
Bastille?
And you have like the reddish
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, here he is. Sorry. I didn't recognize him. Sorry. Sam.
Kuzan.
Yes. Ed.
John Giant.
You know? Oh, yeah, there he is. I was going to say, he's definitely one. I don't know why I have him here. Jill.
Onigumo.
Wow, you guys are doing
good.
way too well. Kelly.
Akainu?
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Yeah. Sam.
Was there one named Dalmatian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ed.
Comir.
From
From Ace's Side Story.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm trying, and I wrote him down, I think. But how do you spell? How would you spell that? I'm trying to. Find him.
Comir.
I definitely wrote him down. I'm trying to find him.
He's a real vice admiral.
Yeah, he is. I just can't find him for some reason. I'll let that go. I don't have. I don't. I know. I looked him up specifically because I couldn't figure out who he was, and I can't find him here. Oh, here he is. Comil. Yeah. Sorry about that. Let's resume. Jill.
Sakazuki.
There you go.
He
Sam.
took it.
Yeah.
I am done.
There's some really obvious ones you guys are still
really?
missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sam, you're giving up? Okay, Ed?
Garp.
Yep. That is one of them.
Oh,
Jill.
oh no!
Jill.
Why did I drop out?
Wait,
They're all coming to me.
Yes. Ed?
Oh, Sengoku.
You know, we don't have him as a vice admiral, but he must have at some point in the past been a vice admiral.
I guess we don't know that that's his canonical name.
Yeah.
But he's always
Well-
been the. Well, he was a vice admiral. at one point.
I mean, I assume he has to have been a vice admiral at one point. I don't know. Steven, you're going to be our judge here. Would you take that or not?
If in other words, would you accept
Sengoku as a vice admiral.
he
Well, I
must
mean,
on the concept that he must have been one at
In
some
the
point in the
past,
past to
yes.
get?
But we've
No,
never
I
seen
think-
it.
Nisha.
Okay.
we don't know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Fujitora
He could've-
to Admiral.
Yeah.
Jill, yeah, that's true.
That's
Jill
true.
Jill is our winner. Congratulations,
All right.
Jill.
Yay, Jill.
Dang.
It's like, oh, we should have said smoker. We should
Yeah,
have
did
said-
anyone say
Here,
smoker?
here are our remaining ones that were not named: Yamakaji, LaCroix, Rons, Stainless, Mozambia, Cancer, Smoker, Maynard, and Virgo.
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 Oh.
Alright, I didn't know
Virgo.
most of those, so thank God we ended there.
So,
Don't give a shit about the ranks.
but it's an easy category though to ask about.
Yeah.
That'll, if you want, I have a bonus one, but I could save that for next week. There's only 6, so do you want to try it since it was mentioned this week?
Let's do it next week. Let's
Okay.
save these.
Fine. We'll do it next week.
Sound disappointed.
bye.
Let's do it.
Sam wants to do it. So
I need to redeem myself.
you know, I'll save it for next week. We'll do it as bonus since we don't have a chapter next week, but we'll be back with our volume 87 recap. Or are we doing part 3, Stephen?
Part 3.
Part 3. We're doing.
Actually,
sorry.
we have to discuss the schedule. For
We have
that,
to
so-
discuss the schedule,
yeah.
so probably the One Piece Magazine Volume 3 next week. We also have an anime recap, and we'll do a little extra trivia for you guys. But all that and more next week. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you then, everyone. Goodbye.
Adios.
Bye bye.
Good touches.
ある一つの世界
Fresh cream is Sanji's secret ingredient. This cream is his true essence of sweetness.